Yep, good afternoon. Okay, well, it's the marketing and sales section, so it looks like, yep, everybody left. Perfect. My name's Curtis Tischler, a little bit different background than most you've seen today. I'm from San Francisco, California. I work in Napa Valley. I worked on branded residences for a long time. Four Seasons, Montage, many years at Ritz-Carlton, buying, selling. I own a brokerage now that specializes in selling this type of real estate. So my domain expertise is a little bit different than most. I'm a hands-on person from the developer, marketing and sales plans, pricing, all the way through. So we've seen a lot of people talk about it. I'm boots on the ground, have a lot of experience, but what I want to dive in today is if you understand marketing and the essence of marketing and how to sell branded, obviously our market is much more, or this market in Dubai, which I'm learning is much more advanced or kind of its early stages. North America and Europe are more challenged right now, so it's very, very important to have your marketing and sales dialed in and understand who you're selling to, how you're selling it, who your salespeople are, how they represent you in a certain way. So we're going to dive into some real specifics. This is going to be much different. Our panelists here that you've seen or will be introduced to are going to get into real specifics, including doing their own slide presentations on some kind of case studies. So this is more of a case study of what we're seeing in more mature markets, but also what eventually I think will happen as you come to this market as well too. So I can have our panel come up and we'll just have a seat and we'll go through each program. What's that? Yeah, let's go here. Yep, that's perfect. So I'll kick it off a little bit here. I wanted to introduce, some of you have already met, but this is Richard Stevens, Sectorlight. We've gotten to know each other briefly here, but talking about brand strategy. I'm going to give the mic for each individual that we have upstage here. They'll do a quick introduction and then jump into it. But all of these guys have really cracked the code from marketing and sales, and you'll get to see and experience kind of what we just talked about of what it is in essence to sell, branded residential. So, take it away.
Great, thank you very much, guys. Delighted to share the stage with you all. We've got some interesting individuals who will give us some insight on what we do, and we all go about it differently, but we all kind of want to get to the end game. At Sectorlight, we are a place and space branding agency, so we work in the real estate sector, and we've been doing it for over 35 years. And branded residences has become a real kind of passion project of ours as we look to kind of apply ourselves to a segment of a market that is just exponentially growing. There's a couple of things that I'd like to talk to briefly about today, and one is about, what's a brand strategy in kind of different locations, and what does it actually mean? Strategy, overused word, it can mean thinking, it can mean planning. At the end of the day, it's a really simple statement. You've got to be relevant. You've got to be the relevant in the room. Now, that's a really easy thing to say, and it's a really clear thing to get behind. But in order to have a marketing strategy that gets people through the doors and delivers on the value, that starts before we get involved. And that's between the developer and the brand aligning on location, on partnership, and on the relevance for why they want to pick that place, say Dubai, but therefore whereabouts in Dubai or the rest of the world, to their audience that they want to bring through the door, and therefore the type of brand that happens. And that's why some brands are heavily involved in Asia and others perhaps not. In order then to build that strategy, you need to think about developers and brands working together. They have to be a real tight partnership because the brand has the equity with the audience. Most people who are listening and wanting to get a slice of a branded residence have either stayed in that hotel, have either driven that car, applied that makeup, worn that bag, tried on the shoe. So the brand has an incredible amount of equity that can help start the conversation, which helps turn heads. But in order to do that, that partnership, and at Sectorlight, we kind of position ourselves on building powerful partnerships between people and place. That partnership has to be really, really relevant, you know. I often use the analogy of Nike and Adidas. I wear Nike because I want to get a personal best. I wear Adidas because I want to feel younger than I am. It's very personal to me, but they're very similar, okay? They sell the same thing, but they package themselves up differently. So when you kind of come on to the next piece, which is around like, what's the brand value in luxury development? Well, perhaps less so about the luxury side of it and more about residential. The essence, the spirit of a brand is so valuable to the sales journey because they own equity that others don't. And what I mean by that is, you know, a Mandarin Oriental, a Hyde, an SLS, they're all different. They all express themselves differently. Whilst they might say service a promise that is similar, like customer service or like amenity mix, right? The way they do it is different. And that's the ownable nugget that the developer must always be mindful of. So building a powerful brand essence is what you see here. Hyde, you know, their ethos is this festival spirit, is this, you know, vivaciousness of an invigorated, rich experience. You know, it's full of life. It's a little bit of bold. It's, you know, it's got some personality. Coming to Dubai, in Dubai Hills, if for those of you that know that location, was a perfect fit because it had the relevance of being a new up-and-coming location. It had a demographic that was younger than other parts of Dubai, and it had an appetite to make a statement. The essence of Hyde wasn't compromised. And the compromise, some say compromise, others might say managing realities. Like, branded residences and brands, everyone needs to be responsible in this market to make sure that at the end of the day, whilst there is an essence and the spirit of a brand that is going to resonate with the audience, is make sure also that it's relevant enough to sell properties, because that's, you know, essentially what the marketing needs to do. So Hyde is a wonderful example where, you know, when the brief lands on our desk and we understand, you know, who we're working with and understand like the narrative, and I think, you know, Adrian will touch on this later on in his piece, is like, there's the essence, there's the spirit, then there's the compelling narrative. Make sure that you become an integral part of your audience's lifestyle. And that you then promise a standard, you promise an experience, all that stuff.
Perfect.
So it's great, you know. And then just to move on though, just to kind of show also the realities of kind of working with brand essence in geographical locations is understanding and respecting your place. So brand essence, when you think of it as a whole, there is a hotel brand or a non-hotel brand. They have a spirit. Then you have, don't ever forget the spirit and the essence of your location. So SLS, Red Sea, you know, an American brand that has a very clear personality and character and, you know, has a boldness to the way that they express themselves. The Red Sea also has a benchmark for how they wish to express themselves, and therefore there is an adjustment that needs to be made. But what isn't lost is the spirit of creating a compelling narrative that is appropriate for your location, that is as strong for the brand as it is for the audience. So I think it's balancing. You know, don't ever go in there with a big idea of like, well, let's not compromise on the spirit. Let's be real about what we need to do, which is about opening doors, getting people feeling that they need this product in their lives, which they've already experienced. So being the relevant in the room, and respect where you are and draw that character out of it as well. Package that all up, and you've got
That's great. I
brand-
appreciate
a brand
that.
spirit.
This will go perfect for Adrian as well as we go into, because it's similar. Your philosophy, I feel like, is very similar in the way you look at business. So why don't you expand a little bit about how you see the essence as well, too, on the branded side?
Yeah, exactly. I think, firstly, it's really great to be able to talk, to and with like-minded people around this, really booming sector, which is the branded residences. I run a, international creative consultancy. We've got 6 different studios in Europe. We're active in over 35 different countries. Got about 50, members of staff. And we've been active since 2008. And I think one of the key factors that I wanted to focus on today, which really sort of, follows on nicely, is how, and by starting the agency in 2008, we were immediately challenged with budgets. Why should I spend money on marketing? What is it going to bring? What is the, ROI if we're going to talk? So what we've seen over the last couple of years, being active across real estate and across asset classes, and especially in this booming sector, which are branded residences, is that there's a shift from what we're going to call product-centric marketing into more consumer-focused marketing. So marketing around and branding around the offer into really focusing on the demand. And the way that we've coined this is this transition from what is for sale into why should I buy? Or if we're looking for something super snappy, is why buy? And that has really put the consumer, as to what you were saying before, the consumer at the center of this ecosystem. And in branded residences, we've already got a component part to that ecosystem. But that has really forced us to look at the way that we work, the way that we create or co-create brands, that we give them authenticity. And the first starting point for us is who? Who's the customer? Who are we talking to? How are we going to build that emotional, or build upon, in this case, that emotional relationship that they already have with the brand? What are going to be those experience levers? Because that is then going to enable us to create a brand that has pertinence, that has relevance, and that has cut-through. And that is really going to be able, in terms of the creative that we put together, the storytelling, the narrative, is going to give us that cut-through with regards to the location, with regards to the product, and also with regards to the brand. And what's really interesting is that kind of slight shift, and anyone working in FMCG will go, duh, you put the consumer at the front. But real estate is not as a dynamic market as some of the FMCG markets. So really, this customer-centric approach then really enables us to have a bit more fun on the creation of the brand, but then more importantly, the running of the campaign. Put up here, tailored campaign phasing. We're always looking at what fashion does, with private sales, with the ways of creating a narrative around the campaign, around timings, around delivery. But what we're also really blessed with now is a variety, a versatility of platforms which enable us to communicate the brand in the right way to the right audience with the right emotional levers. So a few case studies we wanted to talk about, specifically in branded residences and one in a sort of master plan. The first one is the Fairmont Residences on the resort, the amazing 222-hectare resort of Royal Palm Marrakesh. And that has been a huge commercial success. And above us creating what we feel has been really beautiful sales material and really working in a JV with the brokers, what really made it a success was our understanding of who the target audience was. Middle-aged, European, probably from a Francophile country, was going to be there to purchase something for himself, his partner, but also for his children. And understanding what makes that person tick. How are we going to be able to create a brand and marketing material and an experience level that is really going to resonate with them? A second one is the work that we did as well with the Raffle Residences and Hotel in Jeddah. And for us, what we wanted to do there is to obviously build a sense through all the marketing material and the messaging, build a sense of pride to really make this, as you were saying, locationally authentic, to make it feel like, yes, this is a Raffles Residences. Yes, it's in a sort of well-honed location. Yes, the product is going to be good, but to really drive that emotional response, that emotional connectivity between the product, the brand, the location, and what is obviously an internal market in terms of buyers. But where we're really starting to have fun on the creative, and here we're going to use one example, is that we have AI at our disposal now. And a lot of our sort of preambles, when we're trying to get the brand visualization right, when we're trying to make it correct for the right audience, that is where we can have a lot of fun. And sort of bouncing off in terms of SLS residences, we've been lucky enough to work on the launch of SLS residences in Madrid, and that's where we've really been able to bring AI and AI imagery exploration to the forefront. And the final case study is something that we've just developed for Porto Montenegro, is that how do we, when the site is not yet finished, how do we create an emotional, immersive sales experience, again, which is going to work on those emotional levers. And for any of you who've seen the David Hockney exhibitions at the Light Rooms in King's Cross, which is amazing, we tried to do a mini version of that for Porto Montenegro. So really a fully immersive, really sort of experience-driven experience, which is going to enable to get that connectivity between the brand, between the product, and more importantly, with the consumer. So I think for me, in a summary, the most important thing is to really understand this notion of the consumer, the why buy again, potentially, that is what's going to give the real essence.
That's
of the
perfect.
Success.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think one thing we'll do a little pivot as well. So there's the marketing side. Also, we want to talk a little bit, I guess we'll jump into more the sales side and demand side. And I guess, Sally, we'd like to ask you a couple questions. We'll have you jump into your presentation, but you work with ultra high net worth Chinese buyers. And so I wanted to take a look at, we can market and sell. Oh, do we have Sudhin next? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You want to jump back in? We can jump back to
I don't
Sudhin.
mind.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either.
Yeah.
They changed our
Please,
format. No
Speak
problem.
like him.
What, why don't we jump back in?
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for all this, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for this? So as asset manager, let's talk a little bit more. Obviously, you work all these branded residential projects here. You see all different types. You've seen the trajectory of North America, Europe, and now it's coming here. You're responsible for a lot of these projects. When you see marketing and sales and you see the vision, it's a little different here, but you are in other markets, so you see. Tell us a little bit about how you view things from your perspective.
Look, I think I think some of you may have heard this. We are a diversified investment holding company. Part of our investment portfolio is in the hospitality sector and also in the residential development sector as well. Some of those residential developments are branded residences. Now, whilst we are an investment holding company, I think many may have the perception that it's all about the bottom line, but there is an approach to reaching that. And I think, the sales and marketing activity, the process is a significant one. If I move on, I don't have pretty pictures, but then again, marketing and sales is a lot more than pretty pictures, as many would agree. Look, I think when we start the development life cycle for any residential development, particularly for branded residences, the understanding of who we're going to sell to is very important. And there's many ways to slice and dice this, but I think in essence, we're looking at primary home buyers, secondary home buyers, and investors, right? And even with the investors, ultimately, it's going to end up being a primary or a secondary home owner. So really, it's about understanding their motivation in terms of why they would purchase an asset like this. And along with that comes a lot of expectations, and particularly what they perceive the brand to be, right? Which kind of leads me on to the next point is communication. I think communication is not just limited to certain phases of these projects. It starts right from when it's launched and it continues through the development process. And then it needs to continue again once, owners have taken possession of their homes, apartments, villas, whatever they may be. It's very important that that engagement stays throughout that journey. And that kind of showcases the connection between the brand, the product, and the consumer or the buyer in this particular case. I think a lot of expectations are set out right at the beginning. The other thing is, how do you control that communication? Because it's not just you communicating the product and the experience to the buyer, right? There's sales agents involved. There's third parties that are involved. So if you look at it, and I don't mean to be crude, but they're all trying to sell. So when they're selling, are they actually giving the right message? Is all that hard work that goes to defining what this product is about, is that getting translated at every level and through partnerships that you've built? I think it's important that that collaboration happens right at the beginning. So alignment of all stakeholders, be it the brand, the investor, the development management, sales management teams, everybody needs to kind of come together to plan that journey and align the sort of interest there.
No.
There you go.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk later?
Absolutely. And I did say I like the Mandarin brand, so but look, I think the other part is there is a brand promise, right? And that brand promise is what had convinced the buyer to purchase this asset in the first place, right? Now, if that promise is broken, whether it's broken by the brand or the developer or the sales agent, then that's when it becomes a problem, and then everybody's reputation is at stake, right? So the next time the buyer, who's potentially a repeat customer, very similar to the hospitality business, would not want to purchase from that developer, that brand, or that salesperson, right? So retaining the reputation is very important. And going back to Adrian's point, I mean, budgets, right? Look, we are an investment holding company. Budgets are important, but we kind of know that we need to spend in marketing, communications, and sales to make all of this work. Because it's kind of like in construction, right? There's no point doing value engineering on the guest-facing components because that affects the guest experience. So it's kind of the same thing. You do need to invest in that. Obviously within reason, but if any of you have, I mean, if you're not living in Dubai and you've had a chance to walk around Dubai, or if you live in Dubai, you'll see how much people spend on marketing in this city, right? And it is important because it's a market where it is highly competitive, and it's important that your product stands out, and you need to be clear about how you want to make that stand out, right? I think the last point I wanted to make was in relation to product and experience, because going back to, I think, some of the points the gentleman made, the journey of the brand and the customer started a long time before the actual development of what we are trying to do, right? It's about how they perceive and what resonates with them. So if they have had a great experience in the hotels or in engaging with those brands, they will want that transcended into the residential experience. In essence, I mean, branded residences, you have long stay guests. And I think we were speaking about it a little earlier. The communication, the communication that happens when you stay at a hotel is, you check in, you have your experience, you check out, and then immediately you get a survey, or somebody calls you to ask you, hey, how are you doing? How was your experience in the hotel? That doesn't necessarily happen on a consistent basis with branded residences. I know some brands do it, but it's not consistent. But if you ask a hotel operator, I mean, if you ask hotel operators, they would do it consistently because it's become like a guideline in the industry. But I think it's equally important to gauge feedback of homeowners or residents of branded residences to understand, whether things can be better and take that feedback and implement it as part of that. And that, I mean, honestly, everybody else leaves the development. It's the owner, the developer, or the hotel owner and the brand that actually stays through that journey. So working together, aligning interests right at the beginning, that's very important. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely important. The alignment is everything from marketing and sales, from the development. I talk to so many developers, they build this incredible product and then they put a brand on it and they say sell it, and then you go, we have a lot of work to do on the front end before it even gets to market. But
and you'd see that, right? A lot of people, not a lot of people, I mean, there are people who would say, by pasting the brand on the building, let's get our premium.
Right.
But I don't think I mean, obviously, that's not the right
I think
approach.
those days are past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that sophistication in branded residences, but
That's great.
but yeah, I'll stop talking now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Let's jump to Sally. I wanted to talk a little bit more. I believe you're next, Sally. Let's check the let's check the slides. Let's pivot a little bit back to Sally's world and my world and the sales side more. You know, we do all these things. We market. Who are we selling to, and where are the markets going? And I think Sally has some really unique perspective. She's kind of cracked the code on ultra high net worth and the Chinese market. So I think this is interesting. We deal with it in San Francisco. We deal with it in a lot of different markets, but it's obviously coming here. So Sally, why don't you give us a quick overview on what you're seeing?
Yes. First, good afternoon. I hope you are not falling asleep. I will try my best to wake you up. So my name is Maier-Yip. I'm a founder of 11K Consulting, which is a China specialist communications consultancy based in London and Singapore. So today I'm really going to share the secrets of success when you want to market your branded residences to the Chinese ultra high net worth individuals in China and overseas. So why China first? Why we care about the Chinese market? So I can give you 3 facts. First of all, Chinese people love real estate. We actually put 70% of our savings on buying properties, either at home or abroad. So it's in our DNA to buy properties. Secondly, the Chinese ultra high net worth population is still rising. So last year there were around 99,000 ultra high net worth individuals in China, and the number is expected to increase to 145,000 ultra high net worth individuals in 4 years, which is an amazing 60% growth rate. And number 3, a recent Lifeframe report did show that people in Asia, including China, are willing, more than half of them are willing to pay a premium price for branded residences. So it's all facts. So that's why you should care about the Chinese audience if you want to drive success for your branded residences. So today I'm really trying to tell you the real story, how we have been helping the Oval Office residences by Raffles in London to drive success over the past 3 years, right before its completion. So 3 years ago, we were very happy to be appointed as the China comms agency for the Oval Office residences by Raffles. For those who haven't been there, I encourage you to go there. You will love it. So it is formerly a Britain's Oval Office used by Winston Churchill. 5 James Bond movies were filmed there, so I'm sure you have watched it somewhere. And also, it is right opposite the 10 Downing Street on Whitehall. So it's a very iconic building in London. So our journey started 3 years ago, 18 months before its completion. So our job is really to tell the story of the Oval to the Chinese audience with the right messaging. So my first secret of success is that make sure that, like what the panel is saying, you need to understand your audience, but then what are the messages you want to communicate to them? So that's very important, what are the hooks that relevant to the Chinese audience. So just to give you an example, with Oval Office, we identify it's about the British heritage of the branded residences. It's about the cultural aspect. 5 James Bond movies were filmed there, so all the Chinese love it. And the third one is really about the legacy of the building, that it is not just about money. It's actually for the Hindu family, the owner, to leave legacy behind in London. So finding those interesting hooks to connect with the Chinese audience is absolutely key. And also understanding that while we are selling luxury lifestyle angle, we try to not to just focus on luxury lifestyle media per se, as we understand the power of media. So when you try to communicate your story, so think about also the investment angle, the real estate, the business stories, to really reach that end buyers who are mostly successful business owners who make their money. They with S&P, Forbes China, Hong Kong Economic Times, for example. So make sure that you find the right angles to tell your story to different press. So that is quite different when you market a hotel per se. At the end of the day, branded residences is about selling. So make sure you get those messages across on different platforms.
Yeah, I know we're running tight on time, so I wanted to give Adelina a chance as well to,
Okay, I will
to jump
speed up.
in.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
will
know
speed up.
I'm not sure how much time we have left, but I want to
Okay.
make sure that Adelina has a chance
Sure.
to talk
Of
a little
course.
bit about your brand
Yes,
as well
very
too.
important.
Okay. So
Yeah. So I apologize.
Yes,
I have 3
sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
3
Yes.
seconds. Go.
Yes.
I'm going to go fast. I can speak really fast. So I think just to wrap it up, there we are. Just to wrap it up for everyone for this panel, I think we have learned a lot from all being in different parts of this ecosystem of branded residences. And I would say there are 4 things. Creating brand value for the developer, that is key. And how do we do that? And I think a lot of people talked about that. Leveraging the hotel experience for standalones. I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that, we have recently moved into standalone properties as instead of just co-located hotels. And how do we leverage that? So what we'll cover today is also building the trust and the keys to collaboration. I don't think I'll spend too much time on that because everyone did a great job on that, and achieving the exceptional with an aligned vision. Again, that is also something that was already touched on. So just really, really quickly, this is in Bangkok. I just want to illustrate a few examples of how we worked with developers and in developing a strong communication program, strong sales program with 146 residences. All across the river from the hotel in Bangkok, which is one of our iconic hotels. We launched it in 2016, and after a successful sellout of the unbranded tower that's right beside it, and we were able to achieve 52% premium compared to the unbranded tower and over 77 against a non-branded in the CBD. So apples to apples, it was 52. And how do we do that? Well, we did a lot of work in really leveraging off the hotel that's there already. So we can go on, but I won't because I have no time. So, but anyways, we did do 86% of the residences sold in pre-opening period before in 3 years. So if anyone wants to learn a little bit more about that, I'm happy to share afterwards. The next one is Barcelona. We did this with Sectorlight. Very different product, 34 residences only in a beautiful conversion in an office building. It's the tallest building in the historic area, and which allows for stunning views, as you can see that. It was our first standalone residence, and the lessons learned there is really to work well. The standalone worked really well in the same market where there is already a hotel. So we build off the brand, we leverage off the brand, we really work at developing leads from the hotel over to the residences. And the hardest part here that we learned is actually making sure that, because they're 6 blocks down, is to get people into the building. Because once they're in the building, we worked with a developer that is truly aligned with our vision. The quality was insane. Every element was looked into. We developed great amenities. So again, it was alignment. So I feel like there's a gong happening soon.
I think we're getting close to our end.
If I could share with you just one last one, that was Madrid, Vienna, and this is the latest, greatest that we just announced the unveiling of it's a $50 million sales pavilion, and in Miami. It's a conversion it will be a complete destruction and redevelopment of our current hotel in Miami. There will be 2 towers. The taller one is the Resi, 228, and then the shorter one is the hotel with 2 different types of products, so connected by a beautiful podium. We recently, very happy to announce $500 million in sales contract in only 6 months. So a huge kudos. This is working closely with the developer. Every element was top notch, high touch, very, very, on brand, making sure that we translate it, then I must have done at least 6 or 7 brand induction training with the sales. We just updated it again so that, to someone's point, I think we made sure that the sales, whether Sally and her team and other people, are speaking the brand language. And I think that's so important. And with that, I just wanted to close that it was lovely to be here on this panel with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Great panel. Any questions, we're available after. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.